5:05 PM on, September 14th. And we'll call the meeting of the Kyle Housing Authority to order. Steve, would you like to do roll call?
Upper,
Here.
Lucas,
Present.
Salazar,
Here.
Kaufman,
Present.
Perfect. We got 100% attendance.
right.
All righty, so I guess next order of business is we will approve or consider and potential approval of the minutes for the June 29th meeting. Give everybody a moment to review the minutes. Nothing stuck out to me.
I don't have anything.
If there's no edits, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Lopez moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Brad, second. All right. Next order of business is public comment. It is 5:06 PM. No one's here, and I don't believe anybody has pre-registered.
Nope.
So hearing none, seeing none, we will close citizen comment at 5:07 PM. We have executive session on our agenda, so I'll defer to Steve if we have anything.
No.
Nothing? So, my fellow commissioners?
Nothing.
Nothing in
Nothing.
executive session. So our next item is Steve's management report.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. Just give you a brief rundown. I don't really have a whole lot to tell you that I didn't tell you at the last board meeting, so it was in the minutes that you just looked at. Charles Young's 100% occupied. We've done all the exterior work there we're gonna do, and I've got funds set aside, capital funds set aside that we're gonna start in December, going through units and starting to do things like replace appliances that need to be done, better window coverings, screens, front doors as needed, just whatever. And that'll be an ongoing program for about a year. I figure it'll take that long to go through those 21 units and use the funds that are available and try to refresh all of those. And that's really the only thing that's going on at Charles Young. There's nothing else. You know, it's just an ongoing learning process with public housing. And, you know, even though I've been doing it now for 2 years, it's still a learning process with public housing. It's kind of interesting.
And will those be cap funds?
Yes. Yes, I've earmarked cap funds for 5 years at about $44,000 a year. That's what's available. So that gives me about $220,000 to put into those 21 units. So that's like $1,000 a unit, you know. And there'll be more to come after that if, you know, if I need it. And I know I will, but, you know. Anyway. Pete Dressen's got one vacant. It's 97% occupied. That is unit number 132, which has been used as a storeroom for multiple years. And we've spent so much time this summer working on air conditioning, I really haven't got a lot done in it, but I've got put together a package just last week that I'm going to send up to, which is an itemized list of all the major components that unit needs, because we're gonna be replacing drywall, doing some electrical, rewiring, plumbing, appliances, flooring, pretty much rebuilding that unit because it was stripped out. And so I've got a list put together that I'm gonna prepare the paperwork on Saturday and send it to the, Jay Tyler over at USDA and get him to approve using some reserve for replacement funds to make those purchases. It's about $9,000. And I'm sure he'll approve it. He approved my last request a couple of months ago. And you know, once I get the approval from him, then I'll move the money and give the staff the okay to make the purchases of the stuff, and they can start installing it all. We had an MOR earlier in the summer. I told you all that it was coming at the last meeting. And we got a satisfactory. The report went from 58 pages to 16 pages from Southwest Housing Compliance Corporation. And we got a satisfactory, as I mentioned, and we responded to it in about 10 days, and about 10 days ago, we got a letter from Southwest Housing saying that all items were satisfactorily resolved and everything was closed. So
Great.
we're good with that. Probably we'll have another one next year, I would expect, but you never know. They're changing the entire program about how HUD goes around about certifying and recertifying residents and prospective residents. And in fact, on September 26th and 7th, I have all my community directors going to a training in San Antonio to learn about this new program, because it's 180 degrees opposite of what we've all been used to doing for the last 25 or 30 years. And so I hired Jenny De Silva, you know Jenny, and she's coming in and training all of my HUD managers on this new program. It's called HOTMA, H-O-T-M-A. I don't remember what HOTMA stands for, but it's the new thing that HUD's doing. So and it kicks in January 1st. So we got that training set up. And then, let's see, a few days ago, as I told you all in the past, we have done 6 of the 15 roofs at Pete Dressen, and we still have 9 to do, and every month I set aside $9,000 and change to pay for all that over the course of the year ending November 31st or 30th. And so I gave them the okay to do another 6 roofs that will run about $45,000. And he's supposed to get back to me the first of the week with scheduling dates and all that. And once he does those within the next few weeks, then we'll have 3 left to do. And they'll be done in November. And that $114,000 program will have been completed. And of course, I'm doing that out of using funds that we get from HUD, because I was able to get that 84% rent increase. So then the next thing we'll do is start setting money aside to start replacing all the siding and trim with hardy board or something similar to hardy board, and then paint all of the buildings. And that will occur from between December of '23 through November of '24. And, you know, that's pretty exciting that we'll be getting to that. And let's see, the USDA meeting, as you know, we've applied to USDA to prepay the mortgage on Pete Dressen. And so I had some meetings, and Daniel participated in some of those meetings with the USDA people, which is always real interesting. And we held a resident phone meeting in July 18th, I want to say. And so the USDA guy there was two USDA people on the phone, myself, Deidre, the community director, and Jeanette, the regional director. And two residents got on the phone to participate in the call. And, you know, the USDA guy explained why we were having the call. Of course, we had distributed a letter to everybody and told them why they were having the call, but he explained it again, and then I went on to tell the two residents that this was not going to affect their rent portion at all, that the Housing Authority has a contract with HUD that is administered by Southwest Housing Compliance Corporation, and once this loan gets paid off, nothing will change. And so the residents were both happy to hear that. They both made positive comments about all the things that have been going on at Pete Dressen for the last year and a half. And so it was a brief but good meeting. And now I'm just waiting for the USDA guy to come back with the next step. And I have no idea how long it'll be, although they've continued to tell me in the beginning that once we started this process, which was about 2.5 months ago, it could take 4 to 8 months. So I'm figuring it's going to be right after the first of the year before we actually get them to tell us whether we can pay the loan off or not. And I've also given Jerry Hendricks a revised dollar amount because the city set aside $188,000 to pay it off last year, but now that they're going to be into a new fiscal year starting the 1st of October, I had to give them a revised number. So I fudged the number a little bit and gave it to them based on, you know, what I know. I asked the guy at USDA if he could give me and he said, no, we can't do that. I said, you got to be kidding. But he said, I can tell you what the balance is today and what the unpaid balance on principal and interest is today, but I can't predict that. I said, okay, I'll just predict it myself. So that's what I did. So that still is going on. And that's pretty much everything on Pete Dressen. General stuff, we've gotten no new donations from any local citizens or anybody else. I did send you all the audit after the last board meeting for the period ending 6/30/22. And I wonder if any of you had any questions on it.
No,
Nope.
thank you, I appreciate
Okay.
you sending it.
How many of y'all read it?
Read it in detail or skimmed it?
I did review it.
That won't be in the minutes. And then that's something always good to put you to sleep is an audit. Let's see. The Franconia claim, nothing new on that. And, you know, as I told you at the last board meeting, Ralph told me it's going to be 2.5, 3 years. So we're a year into it right now. So we got another 1.5, 2 years before we hear anything on that. And then lastly, or next to the last, I told you all at the last meeting that I was going to try to convert those individual trash cans to dumpsters. And I thought I had that all put together until I got bids. I found out that the city has certain specs that you have to follow with regard to dumpsters. And so when I got those specs from the city planning department and put them out to contractors, I was astonished to how much it was gonna cost to build a pad to put a dumpster on it. Because of the way it has to be enclosed and how the gates have gotta work and how the concrete's gotta be a certain, anyway. So where I'm at with that is I went to Jerry and said, is there any way you can get them to waive this for me, because I don't have that kind of money. It's gonna cost like 30 grand to build 2 dumpster enclosures. And so Jerry put me in touch with a guy named Will. I can't remember Will's last name.
Atkinson, maybe?
Yes,
He's a great guy.
and he's a good guy.
He's a real good guy.
And he asked me to send him the quote and the specs, and I did, and then I never heard from him for about 3 weeks. And so I sent him a follow-up email, and his response was, your specs are fine, your quotes are fine. And I went back and said, but my question initially was, can you waive this because the property can't afford to build these under your requirements? And he came back and said, let me look at it. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard back from him since. So it's on my list, And if he says no, I'm going to try to, maneuver some money out of the set-aside money that I do to get that done, because I can actually save about $700 a month by switching from those individual ugly trash cans to one dumpster at each property. And so I may,
And then the residents would be required to take it from their unit
to the dumpster.
to the dumpster.
Right now, they take it from their unit to their individual trash can.
Yep,
And they each have 3,
yep,
a blue one, a green one, and a gray one.
yeah. It's a lot of activity in those small parking lots to have all those trash cans.
Right, and it's ugly.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, I'm trying to make them not look like,
Right.
low-income housing, And at any rate, and the bigger problem that I have, besides the cost, is for the most part, the residents don't follow the rule of what the green, the blue, and the gray are for.
There's too many rules, that's why.
And so, those are city rules.
I still don't know where a pizza box goes.
Yeah.
Right? There's 3 of them, I just guess.
And
Trash. That's trash because it's had food contact with cardboard.
And so what happens is the trash company guys won't empty them.
Right.
And my maintenance man has to get in there and dig out whatever's in them and put it in, and we're paying him $31 an hour. He don't need to be picking up,
Right, going through the
doing
trash.
this. So I figure with one dumpster, we'll eliminate the problem and cut the cost. It's a win-win. I just need to get the city to
Hopefully,
help.
we'll get a good response.
Maybe they'll donate me 30 grand to do it. I don't know.
So the city won't let them sit on asphalt?
Nope.
It has to be on
And it's got to have an enclosure.
that wooden enclosure.
And well, not only that, it's got to have bollards on it, and it's got to have gates that stay closed,
Yeah.
and they have to be metal. That's why my contractor price went.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I built 5 of them in Kerrville for $25,000 about 6 months ago. Concrete pads with enclosures. And they want 15 grand each because of the specs. So anyway, that's where I'm at on that. It's an ongoing so-called moving target that I'm hoping to resolve in the next 30 or 45 days. And then lastly, we talked about this the last couple of meetings, but we're gonna have those roofs done at Pete Dressen in November. And I think it's time to have a open house, so to speak. We've redone the office at Charles Young, and we've repainted the exterior and done a bunch of other work over there. And once we get all the roofs on at Pete Dressen, that in itself makes it look better. I think we should have an open house in November when it's a little cooler. And, you know, invite people from the city hall and you know,
All our supporters.
yeah, exactly. And let people see what's going on over there. I mean, I know Jerry knows and he tells them all that, but I'd like for, you know, the mayor and some of the other people the council members and staff and whatnot to come. County commissioners, they gave us some money, so. What do y'all think?
Yes,
That would
that'd
be
be
a
Like the
great.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
late November. Maybe
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
holiday.
Yeah,
Early
like,
holiday.
right, like maybe the week before Thanksgiving is what I'm thinking, you know, when it's cooler. And I want to make sure all those roofs are done first.
Yeah.
So I might even have to wait
Maybe
until
so.
early December, depending upon how the roofer can get it done. I'll work it out.
You can invite our friends from USDA and,
Oh,
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
those groups.
And HUD,
yeah, they've all been
They've all been
with
good
us side by
partners.
side on this thing.
right.
Good partners.
And the HUD people have been really the most helpful, quite honestly.
Great.
Although the guy at USDA's been helpful. They just have a lot of weird rules. I never expected him to approve that 84% rent increase. Nobody else did either. They still think I'm some sort of god for pulling that off.
Well,
It's your,
I
it's your
mean,
charm.
when was the last time? I mean,
Well, no, it was the 26-page
yes,
package that I sent him asking for the money.
that was thorough.
But anyway, so that's my plan, and we could probably have a meeting in or mid-November to finalize all the steps of that. And it would help if y'all could give me names of people to invite or whatever, because other
Make
than
the
Jerry
invite
Hendricks,
list.
I don't know any of them. I know who the mayor is because I know his name because he was on a Zoom meeting with HUD and about 10 HUD people, myself and him one day, and Jerry.
Okay, yeah.
And
you
then I'm
can-
sure you're gonna bring your list and start working them while you got a captive audience.
Absolutely.
We'll better get that trash can thing resolved
Well,
before then.
hopefully I'll have it resolved before then, but anyway.
Okay, we can work on a list and help you. And I'll be out mid-November for 2 weeks, so if you're able to do it after Thanksgiving, that would be
Okay,
nice, just letting
all
you know.
right. So unless y'all have any questions, that's all I got.
No, I had 3 questions on here and you answered all of them in your update.
So what would be your next large project after roofs? So you're gonna start ear tagging the same money for siding or?
All the siding and then the exterior painting, siding, trim. I'm gonna replace everything with hardy board.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do that. That's gonna take more than 12 months to completely do it because of the cost. But I'll continue to set aside the $9,000 plus that I've been setting aside every month so far this year to carry that forward. I've actually got 3 years approved from USDA. So,
That's
you know,
good.
I gave him a 3-year plan, he approved it, so. If they get bought out, the plan's still in effect.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, I can probably go, on the rent schedule, I got a 5% OCAF increase that goes into effect December 1st. But then next year, what I'll probably do is go in for a budget-based rent increase because USDA will be out of it. And just HUD has to approve that. Send that to Southwest Housing and they'll take it to HUD and I'm sure I can get Mike Gomez to approve it. So,
An easier process.
Yeah.
you know, so Anyway,
Yeah. Thank
So
you,
is the
Steve.
exterior about the same price as a roof?
no, it's
Not
more.
It's more.
It's more, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, most of that siding over there is just, you know, the nails are holding it on. You know, it's just spongy. It's 50 years old, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how those buildings have stood all this time.
Lots of prayer. Built next door.
Built to last.
Yeah, because they all have asbestos in
Yeah,
it, that's what
asbestos,
it is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
good stuff. That lead-based paint probably.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much to you and the staff just for being so conscientious about improving everything so that everybody feels, you know, like, yes, this is a great place to live. I want to be here, but then our community also recognizes it and sees it as a nice place, you know, see the improvements, so it's not, you know, kind of what we'd seen in the past, and it was just hard for us to keep up with it. Having your experience and your team has really helped to bring us forward, so I appreciate that.
Well, that's the goal, is just to make it a place people want to live. Not because the rents are cheap, but just because
Right.
the rents are cheap and it's a nice place.
Just think what you'll get done in the next 18 years.
You never know.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Dave, you got anything?
No, I don't. I just, you know, I like the plan and, you know, the forethought and everything.
I'm happy. All right. Well, our next agenda item is to adjourn. It is 5:31 PM, and I don't believe this needs a motion. So with that, we'll adjourn at 5:31.
Oh, I do have one other thing, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Y'all got this in the email yesterday,
You,
two of you and me. And so I thought it was something important until I opened it up, and it's not really something that's aimed at the housing authority. It's aimed at individual people who need, you know, help. So I don't know if y'all looked at it or not, but I did.
I saw
And I
that.
actually started to complete the form, and I got about 2 steps into it and said, wait a minute, this isn't,
Yep.
it's not for us. So, anyway,
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, everyone.
okay, good to see everybody.